Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clocking in with your girl Lo, me. Here is my second video, my second voiceover to a playlist on my channel called Dark History. And Dark History on my channel is where we are discussing dark historical figures, events, diseases, creatures of many kinds, and looking at the dark side of them through the lens of history. So, today, in honor of October, we are going to do the dark history of the jack-o'-lantern. And if you do enjoy the video today, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And if you have any type of topics you'd like me to cover through this playlist, please leave the comments down below. We'd like more engagement with you guys because I like to engage with people and I can't be talking to myself in the comments because that's weird. And if you also have any other ideas you'd like me to talk about on this specific playlist on my channel, please DM me directly on my Instagram. A man named Stingy Jack did not fear the dark side, decided to invite the devil for a drink, but did not want to cover the devil's cost, or his cost, so in other words, Jack was pretty cheap. So Jack made a deal with the devil, asking him, hey, if you change yourself into a coin to cover this cost, we can enjoy a drink together. So the devil, like a fool, did that. But instead of covering the drinks, Jack placed the devil in the back of his pocket in the shape of a coin. And the devil was unable to turn back to his original form because Jack also had a silver cross in the back of his pocket. And we know from different folklores and myths and even films today that we see, silver is the savior against defeating or hindering anything evil. In medieval alchemy, silver was a metal that linked very similar characteristics to the moon. So many of the mysterious works of the moon and silver did coexist. And this kind of gives us this does give the idea of werewolves by the killing of silver bullets. And also too, and when I look back at different movie films, the old school werewolf and the Halloween, or even American Wolf in London, love that movie. There's this very deep scene where the two young men who are backpacking the backwoods of London, they are warned by pretty much the people of this village to stay on the silver paved road.
Stay on the road. Keep clear to the moors.
Thank you.
Beware the moon, lads.
Yeah.
Don't go on the field at all, or just don't. And it's amazing how this metal that today we use for businesses to build things, using in jewelry, yeah, it has maybe changed its purpose, but its cores are so meaningful and so profound in more ancient medieval texts. And it's just amazing how over time things can get so simplified, but back then they hold so much weight. Jack then realized what he did. He had the Father of Lies in the back of his pocket and began to freak out and said, hey, if you leave me alone for 1 year and you do not come among me when death is ready to take me, I'll release you. And the devil probably had things up his sleeve, was like, sure, you can go freely for a year, and when death is here to take you, I will not be there. So the next year, like a fool, Jack finds himself back in the devil's crosshairs. And Jack took upon himself to trick the devil again and asked, hey, climb up that tree and get that piece of fruit. As the devil was climbing up the tree, Jack carved a cross into the tree, and the devil was unable to get down. And I don't know why, for some reason, when I was doing this research, I kind of like to really just kind of think of things visually when I'm doing things, and it kind of helps me be more passionate about the research that I'm looking up. But it really made me think of the book of Genesis, where we discuss, of course, the serpent, the devil, and how he is wrapped up in the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and he comes facing Eve. And I don't know why, when I thought of when Jack placed the cross on the trunk of the tree, the devil was unable to get down, I thought of, was the devil, the serpent, was he ever able to roam in the Garden of Eden? because he's only really discussed in the Bible as being on that tree. And there's many people that really do break down the Bible. Like every single verse, they reveal every single layer possible in the book of Genesis, especially with its visualness, its theology. I know for a fact it's just ripped through, okay? And I don't know if any of you guys feel comfortable enough sharing your thoughts down below. Do you think that the serpent and the devil in the book of Genesis was ever able to truly actually sliver out of the tree of knowledge of good and evil? I don't know if this is maybe where the story of the jack-o'-lantern maybe have got its substance from, because for some reason it's like they kind of mirrored each other. He couldn't leave that tree because the cross was now on it. It's like the covenant, it was just like this covenant hindered him from being able to touch the ground in the story of Jack. So just let me know if you have any thoughts on that at all. And the devil did keep up with his bargain with Jack. Jack was left alone for 10 years and was probably doing all this foolery, but was left alone. And like any human of any kind, death did come among Jack, and it did come to take him. And with all Jack's awful deeds and his calm interaction with the devil on earth, he was denied out of heaven. And I know that many of us today, it's very, we live in this, you only live once. It's very easy to kind of get caught in what we do while we're living, and that's it. And I'm realizing through more research, even outside of this channel, just the things I do in my own research, that back in ancient medieval times, it was just very serious about where you ended up after your time on earth. It was taken very serious, and it usually depended highly on how you lived on earth. And that crosses more than just Christianity, different religions around the world, different cultures around the world. And it was very serious. And it saddens me almost that Jack, first of all, you don't get access to heaven. You don't get that eternal life with God. You don't get that. And that's terrifying for one, especially the way they probably were back then, and how that was just a fear. You did not want your life to end up that way. But to be that desperate, he went to the devil and begged him, please have somewhere for me to be here in hell. And the devil was still upset with Jack's foolish deeds and the tricks he played on him while he was living, and denied him to be with him in hell, in damnation. That is terrifying. So he sent Jack off for a forever curse, to wander forever in the wilderness on earth, and to only be lit by one lit piece of coal. So Jack, with his hands shaking, probably all cut up, traumatized, crying, placed the coal in a carved out turnip and roamed the earth forever. His ghostly spirit at the core was cursed, and he gained the name Jack of the Lantern, and eventually Jack-o'-lantern. And in a very ironic and flip way, in other Europe countries such as Ireland and Scotland, people began to make their own jack-o'-lanterns to scare away staying Jack. And this kind of made me think of, man, like his actions on earth of tricking with the devil, interaction with the devil, scheming the devil, that was more terrifying to ward off than his condition, his ghostly spirit in the afterlife. It was more terrifying what he did on earth, that was what people chose to warn off, as compared to the ghostly spirit that was lit by one piece of coal. That wasn't as scary as how he actually lived in his mortal human life. And that, I don't know, that creeped me out actually. So how did this story get to America? This story of Jack-o'-lantern is linked into Irish folklore, and with the wave of Irish immigrants during the Potato Famine. The Potato Famine was the years of 1845 through 1852, where Ireland had faced starvation and disease, and they brought with them everything of their culture, their food, their mythical ideas, their folklore, and Jack-o'-lantern was one of those. And here he is, now a big part of our United States, our American tradition of the holiday. How do we get the pumpkin? It eventually got discovered that a fruit of America, the pumpkin, was way easier to carve. Because in Ireland and Scotland, it was potatoes, it was the turnips, it was beets, and eventually it became realized a pumpkin was way softer to carve out. So that is how we got the pumpkin, and then the jack-o'-lantern tail got brought in here with the immigration of Irish people. I think it's very important, the things that we celebrate, even though people wrap up the jack-o'-lantern, the candy, the costumes, and marketing over consumption materialism, for a lot of our norms, the history is dark. It is time now to step out of this side of history. If there are any topics that you'd like me to discuss on the Dark History playlist, please leave them below in the comment section or message me directly on my Instagram. I promise to get those out packed with dark history and out as soon as possible. I'll see you next time. Bye.